The morning sun reflected off the massive windows of the Galactic Military Academy. The station floated in orbit above a blue and green planet. Inside the main hall, 200 cadets stood in perfect rows. They came from 40 different species across the galaxy. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like walking crystals. Man H.O. Park stood in the back row with the other human cadets. He was 22 years old, with short black hair and calm brown eyes. Next to him stood Yuna Cho, his closest friend since they left Earth 6 months ago. She looked nervous. Her hands kept moving to smooth down her uniform. "Do you think they'll actually treat us fairly?" Yuna whispered. Man and H.O. did not answer right away. He watched the other cadets. The Vorthic soldiers stood tall with purple skin and sharp teeth. They could naturally produce plasma energy from their bodies. The Keltharians looked like living gemstones, their bodies covered in crystal armor that grew from birth. The Ursinians had large heads and could read minds. "Probably not," Minho finally said. "But we knew that before we came." A loud voice echoed through the hall. Supreme Commander Raxith walked onto the stage. He was a Keltharian, and his body sparkled under the lights. His face was hard to read because it was made of blue crystal. "Cadets," Raxith began. "Today begins the survival trial. This test has been part of academy training for 300 years. You will spend 48 hours on Cauldron 7. The planet is hostile. There are dangerous animals. The weather changes without warning. Many of you will fail. Some of you will get hurt. But those who survive will prove they deserve to serve in the coalition military." Minho felt his heart beat faster. He had prepared for this. He had studied every record of past trials. He knew the terrain. He knew the predators. He was ready. "Each cadet will receive one weapon," Raxith continued. "This weapon will match your species' traditional combat style. We honor the old ways, even as we move forward into the future." The equipment officer walked onto the stage. His name was Krell, and he was Vorthic. His purple skin seemed darker than others of his kind. His eyes were yellow and cold. He carried a large box. "Line up by species," Krell ordered. The Vorthic cadets went first. Krell handed each of them a plasma rifle. The weapons hummed with power. Blue energy crackled along the barrels. The Vorthic cadets grinned and showed their sharp teeth. The Keltharian cadets received energy shields that attached to their arms. The shields could block almost any attack. The Ursinian cadets got neural disruptors that could stun enemies from far away. One by one, each species received powerful weapons. Advanced technology that could kill from hundreds of meters away. Tools that could protect against fire, ice, and electricity. Then it was humanity's turn. Minho walked forward with Yuna and the other human cadets. There were 50 humans total in the academy. 50 out of 200 cadets. They were the minority. They were also the weakest by every physical measure. Humans could not breathe poison gas like the Thorians. They could not survive in space like the Voidborn. They did not have natural weapons like almost everyone else. Krell looked down at the humans. His yellow eyes showed disgust. "Humans," he said slowly. He reached into the box. "Your species fought with sticks and stones when you lived in caves. You had no claws, no venom, no armor. You were prey animals that somehow survived." He pulled out a wooden stick. It was just a simple piece of wood, maybe a meter long. One end was slightly thicker than the other. It looked like something a child might pick up in a forest. "This is generous," Krell continued. "In the old days, you would have had nothing but rocks." He tossed the stick at Minho. Minho caught it easily. The wood was smooth and light. He could feel the grain under his fingers. Behind him, the other cadets started laughing. Not just the Vorthic. Everyone was laughing. Even some of the humans looked shocked and angry. "This is an insult," shouted Jiho Nam, another human cadet. The others get plasma rifles and we get sticks? You get what your species earned, Krell said. His voice was flat. Humans are the weakest species in the coalition. You have no natural weapons. Your bodies break easily. You cannot even see in the dark properly. This stick is more than you deserve. Yuna received a simple combat knife. The blade was not even electric. It was just steel. Do-Hyun Lee got a metal rod. Sumin Kang got a rope. Taiyang Bei got a first aid kit with basic medicine. Jiho got another metal rod. The entire hall was still laughing. Minho heard the jokes. He heard cadets saying humans would not last one day. He heard bets being made about how quickly the humans would fail. He looked down at the wooden stick in his hands. He turned it slowly, examining every part. The wood was strong. It had good weight. The balance was decent. He could see where the tree had grown, how the grain ran through the center. "Cadet Park," Commander Raxith called out. "Do you have a complaint? You may file an official protest." The hall went quiet. Everyone waited to hear what Minho would say. Minho looked up at Raxith. Then he looked at Krell. His face stayed calm. "No complaint, sir," Minho said clearly. Yuna grabbed his arm. "Minho, what are you doing? This is completely unfair. We should all protest together." Minho shook his head. "It won't change anything. They've already decided what they think about humans. So you'll just accept this insult?" Jiho demanded. Minho held up the wooden stick. He looked at it carefully, then smiled slightly. "My grandfather fought in a war on Earth," Minho said quietly. "He told me stories about soldiers who ran out of bullets. They survived by using tools, by thinking, by adapting. He said the worst mistake a soldier can make is to think their weapon makes them strong. The weapon is just a tool. The real weapon is up here." He tapped his head with his free hand. "That's a nice story," Krell said with a nasty laugh. "But stories don't stop plasma fire. Your grandfather probably ran away from real fighting." Minho's jaw tightened, but he did not respond to the insult. "Cadets, you have 2 hours to prepare," Raxith announced. "Pack your gear. Check your weapons. The transport ships leave at noon. Dismissed." The cadets began to leave the hall. Minho stayed where he was. He kept examining the wooden stick. He found small details. A knot in the wood that made one section stronger. A slight curve that could be useful. The way the stick made a specific sound when he tapped it against the floor. Yuna stayed with him. "You really think we can survive with just these?" Minho finally looked up at her. His eyes were determined. "Humans have survived worse with less," he said. "Our ancestors crossed oceans on wooden boats. They climbed mountains with rope and sticks. They built cities from stone and wood before they ever touched metal. Every other species in this academy was born with their weapons. We had to invent ours. That makes us different. That makes us dangerous." "Dangerous?" Yuna laughed despite herself. "Minho, they have plasma rifles." "Yes," Minho agreed. He slung the wooden stick across his back. "They have plasma rifles. And they think that makes them superior. That overconfidence is our advantage. They'll underestimate us. They always do. And that's when humans are most dangerous." He started walking toward the exit. Yuna followed him. "I hope you're right," she said. "So do I," Minho admitted. "But hope alone won't keep us alive. We need to be smart. We need to work together. And we need to remember that humans didn't conquer Earth by being the strongest. We did it by being the most adaptable." Outside the window, the planet Cauldra 7 slowly rotated. It looked beautiful from space. Green jungles covered most of the surface. White clouds drifted across blue oceans. But Minho knew the truth. That beautiful planet was full of creatures that could kill a human in seconds. There were poisonous plants, deadly predators, and extreme weather done in 2 hours. He would drop into that hostile world with nothing but a wooden stick. He smiled. Let them laugh now. Soon they would see what humans could really do. The drop pod shook violently as it fell through the atmosphere. Minho gripped the safety harness with both hands. His wooden stick was secured to his back. Through the small window, he watched the green jungle rushing up to meet him. The pod's computer announced in a flat voice, landing in 30 seconds. Impact zone, tropical jungle. Temperature, 35 degrees. Humidity, 87%. Predator warning level, high. Minho took a deep breath. He had studied this. He knew what to expect. The pod slammed into the ground. The harness dug into Minho's chest. His teeth rattled. Then everything was still. The door hissed open. Hot, wet air rushed in. The smell hit him immediately, rotting plants, wet earth, and something else. Something like burnt metal. Minho unbuckled and stepped out carefully. He was in a ravine. Tall trees covered the sky. Their leaves were purple instead of green. Vines hung down like thick ropes. Water dripped from everything. In the distance, Minho heard strange animal calls. Some sounded like birds. Others sounded like nothing from Earth. He pulled a wooden stick from his back and held it ready. Then he began to move. The first rule of survival was simple. Find water, find shelter, avoid danger. Minho could hear running water nearby. He moved toward the sound, using the stick to push aside hanging vines. Every few steps, he stopped to listen. The stream was clear and cold. Minho knelt down and tested the water carefully. The academy had given him all injections to protect against common alien bacteria, but he was still careful. He drank slowly, then filled his small canteen. A sound made him freeze. Something was moving through the jungle. Something big. Minho slowly stood up. He gripped the wooden stick with both hands. His heart pounded, but his hands stayed steady. A creature stepped into view. It was twice as tall as Minho, with 6 legs and gray skin covered in spikes. Its mouth had 3 rows of teeth. Yellow eyes stared at him. Minho did not move. He remembered the training files. This was a Cauldrus Ridgeback, a herbivore, dangerous only if threatened. The creature sniffed the air. Then it turned and walked away, breaking branches as it moved. Minho let out a breath. He had been on the planet for less than an hour and already faced a predator. This was going to be a long 48 hours. He followed the stream for another kilometer. The stick was useful for testing the ground before he stepped. Twice he found soft spots that would have trapped his foot. Once he disturbed a nest of small flying creatures that swarmed around him. Before moving on, that's when he heard the scream. It was high-pitched and full of pain. Not a human scream. Something else. Minho ran toward the sound. He jumped over fallen logs and ducked under low branches. The stick helped him vault over a small gap in the rocks. He found the source of the scream in a clearing. A Caltharian cadet was on the ground. His name was Vex, Minho remembered. His crystal body was cracked in several places. Green blood leaked out. His energy shield lay broken beside him. 2 creatures circled Vex. They looked like enormous snakes, but with 4 small legs. Their scales were black and shiny. Each one was 12 feet long. Their mouths dripped with venom. Cal is serpents. Minho had read about them. Their venom could melt through almost anything. Their scales were tough enough to deflect plasma fire. But they had one weakness. Their jaws were sensitive to impact. Vex saw Minho and shouted, "Run! My weapon is broken. I can't fight them." The serpents had not noticed Minho yet. They were focused on Vex. Minho could run. He could leave Vex and save himself. That would be the smart choice. Vex was not human. He had probably laughed when Minho received the wooden stick, but Minho did not run. He picked up a rock and threw it hard. It hit one of the serpents on its back. The creature spun around, hissing. Its tongue flickered out, tasting the air. "Over here!" Minho shouted. He waved the stick. Both serpents turned toward him now. Good. That was what he wanted. The first serpent lunged. Its mouth opened wide, showing fangs that dripped green venom. Minho sidestepped at the last second. He brought the wooden stick down hard on the creature's jaw. The impact made a cracking sound. The serpent screamed and pulled back. Its jaw hung at a wrong angle. The second serpent was smarter. It circled around, trying to get behind Minho. Minho backed up toward a large tree. He could not fight both directions at once. He needed an advantage. The serpent struck. Minho dodged left, and the serpent's head smashed into the tree. Wood splinters flew everywhere. While the serpent was confused, Minho brought the stick down on its head. Once, twice, 3 times. Hard, focused strikes. The serpent fell and did not move. The first serpent, the one with the broken jaw, tried to escape. It slithered away into the jungle, leaving a trail of green blood. Minho stood there breathing hard. His hands shook slightly. The wooden stick had a crack in it now, but it was still solid. Vex stared at him with wide eyes. You killed a cauldron serpent. With a stick. Minho walked over and helped Vex sit up. Are you hurt badly? My shield is broken. My plasma weapon won't fire. 3 of my primary crystals are cracked. Vex touched his chest where green blood still leaked. I thought I was dead. You're not dead, Minho said. He pulled out some cloth from his pack and pressed it against Vex's wounds. Hold this here. The pressure will slow the bleeding. Why did you help me? Vex asked. My people laughed at you. We called humans weak. Minho shrugged. You are weak right now. So am I, compared to most species. That means we should help each other. A sound in the distance made them both freeze. It was not an animal sound. It was mechanical. Like engines. That's not supposed to be here, Vex said. The trial rules say no vehicles, no machines. Minho listened carefully. The sound was getting closer. Can you walk? He asked Vex. I think so. Then we need to move, now. They had barely gone 50 meters when Minho heard plasma fire. Someone was screaming. The sound came from the east. That's another cadet, Vex said. They ran toward the sound. Minho's legs burned from the effort. His lungs ached in the humid air. But he kept moving. They found Jiho in a burned clearing. The other human cadet was on the ground. His metal rod lay melted beside him. His body was covered in plasma burns. Minho knelt beside Jiho, but he already knew the truth. Jiho was dead. What could do this? Vex whispered. Minho looked around the clearing. He saw burn marks on the trees, plasma scoring on the rocks, and something else, small pieces of metal scattered around. He picked up one of the pieces. It was scorched, but he could still read the markings. Vorthic military designation, Minho said quietly. That's impossible, Vex protested. Why would Vorthic military equipment be here? Minho stood up slowly. His face was hard. This isn't a normal trial. Someone is hunting us. Someone with military drones. The mechanical sound was closer now. Through the trees, Minho saw movement. Something flying low to the ground. Run, Minho ordered. They ran. Behind them, a combat drone emerged from the trees. It was 2 meters tall, floating on anti-gravity engines. Plasma cannons extended from its arms. A red eye scanned the jungle. The drone's sensors locked onto them. Its weapons charged with a high-pitched whine. Minho grabbed Vex and pulled him behind a large rock just as plasma fire cut through the air where they had been standing. The tree behind them exploded into flames. "It has thermal tracking," Minho said. "It can see our heat signatures." "Then we can't hide," Vex said. "We're dead." "Not yet." Minho looked at the wooden stick. An idea was forming. The drone doesn't see wood as a threat. It's organic material. The sensors probably ignore it. What good does that do us? The drone fired again. The rock they hid behind began to melt. "It means I can get close," Minho said. "When I move, you run the other direction. Draw its fire. That's suicide. So is staying here." Minho did not wait for Vex to argue. He rolled out from behind the rock and ran, but not away from the drone. Toward it. The drone's sensors locked onto Vex, who was running the opposite direction. Its weapons tracked the Kelthorian cadet. It ignored Minho completely. Just as he hoped, Minho covered the distance in seconds. The drone was 3 meters above the ground. Too high to reach normally, but there was a vine hanging nearby. Minho grabbed the vine with one hand, keeping the stick in the other. He swung himself up and kicked off a tree trunk. The motion brought him level with the drone. He jammed the wooden stick into the drone's anti-gravity generator. The stick wedged into the mechanical parts. The drone's red eye turned toward Minho. It tried to target him. But the stick had damaged something important. The drone began to spin. It lost altitude. Minho dropped to the ground and rolled. The drone crashed into the earth. Its weapons fired randomly. Cutting through trees. Minho picked up a large rock and brought it down on the drone's eye. Once, twice. The red light flickered and died. Silence fell over the jungle. Vex limped over to Minho. He stared at the destroyed drone with disbelief. "You killed a military combat drone," Vex said slowly. "With a wooden stick." Minho was breathing hard. His arms shook from the effort. "It's just a machine. Machines have weak points. Where did you learn to fight like that?" "Earth," Minho said simply. "We had to get creative." He knelt down and examined the drone's remains. His face grew serious. "This was modified," he said. "Look at the targeting system. It was programmed to hunt specific heat signatures." "Human heat signatures? Someone is hunting humans specifically?" Vex's voice was shocked. "Who would do that?" Minho thought about Krull's yellow eyes. Minho and Vex moved through the jungle carefully. The sun was setting, painting the purple leaves with orange light. Minho kept the wooden stick ready. His eyes scanned constantly for threats. "We need to find the other humans," Minho said. "If there are 3 drones, they're all in danger." "How do you know there are 3? Vex asked. "Standard Vorthic military tactics. They always deploy in 3s. Minho pointed at markings on a tree. "These burns are fresh. Another drone passed through here recently. They heard plasma fire in the distance. Then a human voice screaming. Minho ran toward the sound. Vex struggled to keep up with his injured leg. They burst into a clearing and saw Yuna running from a drone. The machine floated behind her, its weapons charging. Yuna's knife was useless against its armor. "Down!" Minho shouted. Yuna dropped flat. The drone's plasma blast went over her head and hit a tree. The tree exploded into splinters. Minho threw the wooden stick like a spear. It hit the drone's sensor array. The machine spun around, confused. "Yuna, run to me!" Yuna scrambled to her feet and ran. The drone tried to track her, but its sensors were damaged. It fired wildly. Minho caught Yuna as she reached him. "Are you hurt?" "No, but that thing has been chasing me for an hour." She was breathing hard. Her uniform was torn. "My knife can't even scratch it." The drone's sensors came back online. Its red eye focused on them. "We need to go," Vex said urgently. They ran deeper into the jungle. The drone followed, but it was slower now. Minho's throw had damaged something important. They found shelter in a cave system. The entrance was narrow and the drone was too wide to follow. They collapsed inside, exhausted. "What is happening?" Yuna demanded. "That wasn't a training exercise. That thing was trying to kill me." Minho explained what he and Vex had discovered. About Jiho, about the military drones, about how they were programmed to hunt humans. Yuna's face went pale. "Then all the human cadets are targets." "Yes," Minho said grimly. "We have to warn them," Yuna said. She tried to use her communicator, but it was dead. "The drones must be jamming our signals. Then we find them ourselves," Minho said. He stood up and retrieved his wooden stick from where he had dropped it. "We can't fight 3 military drones alone. But if we work together, maybe we have a chance." They left the cave as night fell. The jungle became even more dangerous in darkness. Strange glowing plants provided some light. Minho marked their path by breaking branches in specific patterns. An hour later, they heard voices. Human voices. They found 3 more human cadets hiding in a hollow tree. Do-Hyun Lee had a metal rod. Sumin Kang clutched a rope. Taiyangbe held a medical kit. "Minho!" Do-Hyun called out. "Thank God. We thought we were the only ones left." "How many humans have you seen?" Minho asked. "Just us 3, Sumin said. Her voice shook. "We heard plasma fire everywhere. We've been hiding." "Hiding won't work," Minho said. He explained the situation again. Taeyang looked at the destroyed drone parts Minho had brought. "This is attempted murder. When we get back, whoever did this will face justice." "If we get back," Do-Hyun said darkly, "we have sticks and ropes. They have plasma cannons. But we have something they don't," Minho said. He knelt down and began drawing in the dirt with his stick. "The drones are programmed to see us as prey. They have powerful weapons and strong armor. But they're still just machines. They follow patterns. They have weaknesses." "What weaknesses?" Yuna asked. Minho pointed at the drone fragments. "Their sensors ignore organic material. Wood, plants, vines. To their programming, these things aren't weapons. That's why I could get close with the stick." Sumin looked at her rope. "So my rope wouldn't register as a threat?" "Exactly," Minho said. "We use what they dismiss. We turn their programming against them." An Ursinian cadet stumbled into their camp. His name was Thriss. He was bleeding from a head wound. "Help," Thriss gasped. "Drone, following." Taeyang immediately began treating Thriss's wound. "You're safe now." "No," Thriss said. His telepathic abilities were weak from pain, but he managed to project feelings of danger. "It's coming. Right behind me." They heard the mechanical whine of engines. "Everyone grab something," Minho ordered. "Do-Hyun, you and I will be bait. So-Min, get your rope ready. Yuna, find plants we can use. Taeyang, keep Thriss safe. What's the plan?" Do-Hyun asked. "We trap it," Minho said simply. The drone emerged from the trees. Its weapons were already charging. It ignored Thriss and the Ursinian. Its programming focused only on the human heat signatures. Minho and Do-Hyun ran. They split up, forcing the drone to choose. It chose to follow Minho. Minho ran toward a section of jungle he had scouted earlier. There were 2 large trees with thick vines hanging between them. Perfect. The drone fired. Plasma bolts cut through the air beside Minho's head. He felt the heat on his skin. He reached the trees and dove to the side. Someone was already there. She had tied her rope between the trees at exactly the right height. The rope was covered in mud and leaves. To human eyes, it was barely visible. To the drone's sensors, it was just background noise. The drone flew straight into the rope. The cord caught on its weapons array. The drone jerked to a stop. Before it could free itself, Minho swung the wooden stick hard. He hit the connection between the weapon and the main body. Metal Crack Duhayan appeared from the other side. He used his metal rod to pry open a panel on the drone's back. Sparks flew out. "Yuna, now!" Minho shouted. Yuna had found a plant that produced thick, sticky sap. She threw handfuls of it onto the drone's exposed circuitry. The sap gummed up the delicate electronics. The drone thrashed. Its weapons fired randomly. Everyone dove for cover, but the damage was done. The drone's movements became jerky. Its anti-gravity generator whined and failed. It crashed to the ground. Manho brought the wooden stick down on its red eye again and again until the light went out. They stood around the destroyed drone, breathing hard. "Two down," Minho said. "One to go." Vex, who had been watching from a safe distance, slowly approached. That was the most primitive trap I've ever seen. Rope mud and tree sap. It shouldn't have worked. But it did, Selman said. She smiled despite the danger. Because we didn't try to beat it with technology. We used what we had. Dohyun examined the drone's remains. "I can use parts from this. The power core is still intact. Maybe I can build something." "Like what?" Yuna asked. "I don't know yet. But humans are good at improvising." They made camp that night in a defensible position. Taeyang treated everyone's wounds using supplies from the medical kit and plants Yuna identified. Some of the plants could stop bleeding. Others could fight infection. As they sat around a small fire, Vex asked the question that had been bothering him. Why do humans fight this way? Every other species evolved natural weapons. Plasma generation, crystal armor, telepathy. Humans have nothing. Yet, you keep surviving. Minho poked the fire with his stick. The wood was scorched and cracked, but still strong. "My grandfather told me a story," Minho said, "about a war on Earth. His unit was trapped behind enemy lines. They ran out of ammunition. The enemy had tanks and helicopters. My grandfather's unit had rifles that didn't work anymore. What did they do?" Thriss asked. His telepathy was recovering. He could feel Minho's emotions, determination mixed with sadness. "They survived," Minho said. "They used wire to make traps. They used broken metal to make knives. They used pipes to make clubs. They didn't win because they had better weapons. They won because they could turn anything into a weapon. That's the human advantage. We adapt." He held up the wooden stick. "You all laugh at this. You think it's primitive. But every species evolved to fit their environment. Vorthik evolved plasma because their homeworld was cold. They needed internal heat. Keltharians evolved crystal armor because their planet had radiation storms. Humans evolved on a planet that was trying to kill us in 100 different ways. We had no natural armor, no natural weapons. So we learned to make them. We learned to use tools. We learned to think our way out of problems." Dahan added more wood to the fire. "That's why they hate us. Because we proved that evolution isn't everything. Our weakness made us creative. And now we have one more drone to destroy," Yuna said. "Any ideas?" Minho stared into the flames. "The last drone will be different. It will have learned from the others. It will know we can trap it. It will be more aggressive, more careful. Then how do we beat it?" Soman asked. Minho smiled slowly. It was not a nice smile. "We don't trap it," he said. "We hunt it. Tomorrow, we go on the offensive." Morning came with heavy rain. Water poured through the jungle canopy, turning the ground into mud. Minho stood at the edge of their camp, watching the jungle. His wooden stick was slick with moisture behind him. The others prepared for the hunt. Do-hyun had spent the night working with drone parts. He had built something that looked like a crude electromagnetic pulse device. Someone had woven more rope into nets. Yuna had gathered more sticky sap and poisonous thorns. Taeyang kept their medical supplies ready. "Are you sure about this?" Yuna asked, coming to stand beside Minho. "We could just hide until the trial ends, and let that last drone kill other cadets?" Minho shook his head. "No, this ends today." Vex approached them. His crystal body had been repaired overnight through natural regeneration. "I've been thinking about what you said, about humans adapting. I want to help." "You don't have to," Minho said. "This isn't your fight." "Yes, it is," Vex insisted. "Someone is trying to murder cadets during a training exercise. If it's humans today, it could be Calthurians tomorrow. Besides, you saved my life. I owe you." Thriss joined them as well. His telepathy had fully recovered. "I can sense the drone. Its electronic signature creates a kind of emptiness in the mental field. I can track it." "Then we have our advantage," Minho said. He gathered everyone together. "Here's the plan. Thriss guides us to the drone. When we find it, we don't engage immediately. We watch, we learn its patterns. Then we strike together." They moved through the rain-soaked jungle. Thriss led the way, following the electronic void only he could sense. The rain made visibility poor, but it also masked their heat signatures. The drone would have trouble tracking them. After an hour, Thriss stopped. "It's close. Very close. Maybe 50 meters ahead?" They approached carefully. Through the curtain of rain, they saw movement. The last drone was different from the others. It was larger, with heavier armor. Its weapons were bigger. Red lights blinked along its body. "It's been upgraded," Do-hyun whispered. "That's military-grade armor plating." Worse, the drone was not alone. It was guarding two unconscious cadets, both human. One was a girl named Hana. The other was a boy named Junho. They were tied up and lying in the mud. "It's using them as bait," Yuna realized. "It knows we'll try to save them. Then we walk into the trap," Minho said. "But we control when and how." "That's insane," Vex protested. "Maybe," Minho admitted. "But staying hidden means those two die. I won't allow that." He stood up and walked into the clearing. The others tried to pull him back, but he shook them off. The drone sensors locked onto him immediately. Its weapons charged. The high-pitched whine cut through the rain. Man Ho held his wooden stick loosely at his side. He looked calm, but his heart was racing. "Come on," he said quietly to the machine. "I'm right here." The drone fired. Minho dove left. Plasma bolts tore through the space where he had been standing. The ground exploded. Mud and steam filled the air. Minho rolled and came up running. He zigzagged between trees. The drone followed, firing continuously. Every shot was calculated to predict his movement. He was leading it away from the unconscious cadets, away from his friends, into the ancient ruins that lay deeper in the jungle. The ruins were stone structures covered in vines. They had been here for thousands of years, built by a civilization long gone. Minho had spotted them during his initial survey. Now they would serve as his battlefield. He ran between crumbling pillars. The drone followed, destroying everything in its path. Its weapons were overheating from constant fire, but it did not stop. Minho's friends emerged from the jungle. They had freed Hana and Junho. Now they spread out around the ruins. "Box formation," Minho shouted. They moved into position. Minho kept the drone's attention while Soman threw her rope nets. The nets caught on the drone's armor but did not slow it down. The machine tore through them easily. Do-hyun activated his electromagnetic pulse device. It let out a pulse of energy. The drone shuddered, but its shielding protected it. The device sparked and died one use only. "It's not working!" Do-hyun yelled. The drone turned its weapons on him. Minho threw his wooden stick like a javelin. It hit the drone's sensor array. The machine spun around, distracted, but only for a moment. The drone's red eye fixed on Minho again. This time, something changed. A panel opened on the drone's chest. Inside, Minho saw a different weapon, larger, glowing with white-hot energy. "Plasma bomb!" Vex screamed. "Everyone run!" The weapon began to charge. The air around it shimmered with heat. "If that detonates, it will kill everything within 100 meters, Tris said. He was helping Hannah and Junho to safety. "We have to go." But Minho was looking at the ruins, at the old stone pillars, at the way they held up the remains of a ceiling. An idea formed. A dangerous idea. "No," Minho said. "Everyone get behind cover." "Far cover. What are you doing?" Yuna demanded. "Something stupid," Minho admitted. He picked up his wooden stick from where it had fallen. "Trust me." He did not wait for their response. He ran directly at the drone. The plasma bomb was almost fully charged. White light poured from it. The heat was intense even from meters away. Minho ran past the drone. It turned to track him, its weapons following his movement. He reached the largest pillar in the ruins. It was ancient stone, cracked with age, but still standing. It held up what remained of the structure's roof. The drone floated closer, its plasma bomb ready to release. Minho looked at the pillar. He looked at the stress fractures running through it. He looked at the wooden stick in his hands. He thought about his grandfather's stories, about soldiers who survived impossible situations, about humans who won not through strength, but through understanding their environment. The pillar had a weak point. Right where the cracks converged, Minho struck the weak point with the wooden stick. Once, the stick cracked but held. The drone fired its plasma bomb. Minho struck the pillar again, harder. The plasma bomb rocketed toward him. A ball of white-hot destruction. Minho hit the pillar a third time. The wooden stick shattered in his hands. The pillar began to collapse. Thousands of pounds of ancient stone fell. The drone tried to move, but it was too close. The falling stone and debris crushed it from above. Minho tried to run, but the blast from the plasma bomb caught him. The explosion threw him across the ruins. He felt heat sear his back, felt his skin burning, felt impact as he hit the ground hard. Then everything went dark. When Minho woke up, he was lying on his back. Rain fell on his face. Everything hurt. His back felt like it was on fire. His arms would not move properly. Yuna's face appeared above him. She was crying. "Don't move. Taeyang is treating you. You're going to be okay." Minho tried to speak, but his throat was raw. He managed to croak out one word. "Drone?" "Destroyed," Do-hyun said. He appeared beside Yuna, grinning despite his own injuries. "You actually did it. You brought down a military combat drone with a wooden stick and a stone pillar." Minho wanted to laugh, but it hurt too much. He had not destroyed the drone with the stick. He had destroyed it with knowledge, with understanding of physics and structural engineering, with the ability to see weaknesses that others missed. That was the human way. Taeyang worked on Minho's burns. The medic used plant extracts and artificial skin from the medical kit. "You're lucky," Taeyang said. "Another second of exposure and these burns would have been fatal." "Not luck," Tris said quietly. The Ursinian's telepathy had picked up Minho's thoughts during the fight. He calculated it perfectly. He knew exactly when the pillar would collapse. He knew the explosion would throw him clear, even as the stones crushed the drone. Vex stood guard, watching for other threats. His crystal body reflected the rain. That was either the bravest or the most foolish thing I have ever seen. Both, Minho whispered Dot in the distance. They heard transport ships. The trial was ending early. Someone at the academy had realized something was wrong, Dot, as the rescue teams arrived. Minho looked at the destroyed drone. Pieces of it were scattered across the ruins. Its red eye was shattered. Its weapons were twisted metal. Beside the wreckage lay the broken pieces of his wooden stick. The simple piece of wood that everyone had laughed at. The primitive weapon that had helped him survive against advanced military technology. Minho smiled despite the pain. Let them laugh now. He had proven his point. Humans did not need natural weapons. They did not need plasma cannons or crystal armor. They had something better. They had minds that could turn anything, even a wooden stick, into exactly what they needed. The medical bay was quiet except for the soft beeping of machines. Minho lay in a recovery pod. Artificial skin covered his back where the burns had been worst. His arms were wrapped in healing bandages. But he was alive. Through the window beside his bed, he could see the planet Cauldrus 7 below. It looked peaceful from orbit. Beautiful even. It was hard to believe he had almost died down there. The door opened. Yuna walked in carrying a datapad. She smiled when she saw Minho was awake. How long was I unconscious? Minho asked. His voice was stronger now. 3 days, Yuna said. She pulled up a chair beside his bed. The doctors say you can leave tomorrow. Your recovery has been remarkable. What happened to the others? To the cadets we rescued. Everyone survived, Yuna assured him. Hannah and Junho are fine. Thriss recovered fully. Even Vex is back to normal. You're the last one in medical care. And the investigation? Yuna's smile faded. That's why I'm here. The tribunal starts in 2 hours. Commander Raxith wants you there. If you're well enough. Minho sat up slowly. His back protested, but the pain was manageable. I'll be there. Who else knows what happened? Everyone, Yuna said. The whole academy is talking about it. About how humans survived with primitive weapons while others with plasma rifles died. About how you destroyed 3 military combat drones. About the wooden stick. Minho looked at his hands. They were scarred, but healing. Where's the stick? The broken pieces were recovered from the ruins. Commander Raxith has them as evidence. 2 hours later, Minho walked into the tribunal chamber. He wore his cadet uniform, though moving was still painful. The room was packed with officers, instructors, and cadets from every species. They all turned to watch as he entered. At the front of the room sat 3 judges. Commander Raxith was in the center. To his left sat Admiral Thorne, a high-ranking Ursinian officer. To his right sat General Cax, a Vorthic commander with silver skin and sharp eyes. In the prisoner dock stood Krell. The equipment officer's yellow eyes burned with hatred when he saw Minho. Cadet Park, Raxith called out. Please, approach. Minho walked to the witness stand. Every step hurt, but he kept his back straight. Cadet Park, you were asked to participate in the standard survival trial, Raxith began. Instead, you found yourself fighting for your life against military combat drones. Can you tell this tribunal what happened? Minho took a breath and began to speak. He told them everything. About receiving the wooden stick. About finding Jiho's body. About discovering the drones were programmed to hunt humans specifically. About working together with other cadets to survive. The room was completely silent as he spoke. When he finished, General Cax leaned forward. You claim you destroyed 3 military combat drones. These machines are designed to fight trained soldiers. Yet you defeated them with a wooden stick and simple traps. Yes, sir, Minho said. How is that possible? Minho chose his words carefully. The drones were programmed to fight advanced threats. Plasma weapons, energy shields, cybernetic enhancements. They were not programmed to recognize primitive methods as dangerous. That was their weakness. They dismissed us as harmless because we had simple tools. Underestimating the enemy, Admiral Thorne said thoughtfully. A classic tactical error. Krell suddenly stood up. This is ridiculous. Humans are weak. They have no place in the coalition military. I only did what needed to be done to prove this truth. The room erupted in shocked whispers. Order, Raxith demanded. He turned to Krell. You admit to sabotaging the trial? Krell's face twisted with anger. I did not sabotage it. I made it real. The trial was too easy. Humans were passing when they should have failed. I simply provided a proper challenge. If they were strong enough to serve in our military, they would have survived easily. 4 humans died, Raxith said coldly. Jihonam and 3 others. You are responsible for their deaths. They were weak. Krell shouted. Humans are prey animals. They evolved to run from predators, not fight them. They have no natural weapons, no armor, no enhanced abilities. They are nothing. Minho felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm and steady. Permission to respond, sir? Raxith nodded. Maya and Ho turned to face Krell directly. You're right. Humans have no natural weapons, no plasma generation, no crystal armor, no telepathy. When my ancestors lived on Earth, they were prey. Lions hunted them. Bears killed them. Snakes poisoned them. By every physical measure, humans should have gone extinct. He paused, letting his words sink in. But we didn't go extinct. Do you know why? Because while we were running from predators, we were also thinking. We learned to make fire when we were cold. We learned to create tools when we were hungry. We learned to build shelters when we were vulnerable. Every species here evolved to fit their environment. Humans evolved to change our environment to fit us. Minho gestured to the broken pieces of wooden stick that lay on the evidence table. You gave me that stick as an insult. You wanted to prove humans were weak. Instead, I proved that a thinking mind is more powerful than any natural weapon. I used that stick to test ground, to fight predators, to disable drones, to destroy structures. It was one tool with 100 uses. That's the human advantage. We don't have one weapon. We have infinite weapons because we can turn anything into exactly what we need. The room was silent. General Cax spoke up. The Vorthik evolved plasma generation because our homeworld was frozen. We needed internal heat to survive. It made us powerful, yes, but it also made us dependent. If our plasma glands are damaged, we are helpless. He looked at Krell with disgust. Cadet Park is correct. We evolved one solution. Humans evolved the ability to create any solution. That is not weakness. That is strength. Admiral Thorne nodded. The Ursinian people are telepathic. It gives us great power. But in combat against mechanical enemies or those with psionic shields, we are at a disadvantage. Humans have no such limitations. Their methods work against any enemy. Raxith looked at Minho with what might have been respect. Cadet Park, you were given a wooden stick and told it was generous. What is your opinion now? Minho thought for a moment. I think it was the perfect weapon for me, sir, because it forced me to be creative, to think, to adapt. If you had given me a plasma rifle, I would have relied on its power. When it failed, I would have been helpless. But with the stick, I never stopped thinking of new ways to survive. He held up his scarred hands. These hands can't produce plasma. They can't grow crystal armor. But they can build. They can create. They can turn sticks into weapons, ropes into traps, and understanding into victory. That's what makes humans dangerous. Not our bodies. Our minds. The tribunal deliberated for less than an hour. When they returned, Their verdict was unanimous. Krell was found guilty of attempted murder, sabotage of military operations, and conduct unbecoming an officer. He was stripped of his rank and sentenced to 30 years in military prison. The Vorthik delegates in the room looked ashamed. One of them, an older officer, approached Minho after the tribunal. "On behalf of the Vorthik people, I apologize," the officer said. "Krell's actions were dishonorable. He does not represent our values." Minho nodded. "I understand. Every species has individuals who let hatred guide them." Commander Raxith made a formal announcement to the Academy that evening. All cadets gathered in the main hall to hear it. "The events on Cauldrus 7 have shown us an important truth," Raxith said. "We invited humanity into the coalition because we believed they had earned it. But many of us, myself included, questioned whether humans were truly capable of serving in our military. We saw their lack of natural weapons as a weakness. We were wrong." He held up the broken wooden stick. This simple piece of wood destroyed 3 military combat drones. Not through power, through ingenuity, through adaptability, through the specifically human ability to see solutions where others see only problems. These qualities are valuable. More valuable, perhaps, than plasma cannons or crystal armor. Raxith looked directly at the human cadets. "Therefore, effective immediately, the Coalition Military Academy will implement new training protocols. All cadets, regardless of species, will learn human survival techniques. You will learn to see your environment as a tool. You will learn that the greatest weapon is not the one in your hands, but the one in your mind." The hall erupted in discussion. Some cadets looked excited. Others looked skeptical. But they were all listening. After the announcement, Minho was approached by dozens of cadets. They wanted to know how he had survived, how he had fought, how he had thought. Vex was among them. "I have requested permission to train under human methods," the Keltharian said. "My crystal armor is powerful, but you have shown me it is not enough. I want to learn to think like you do." "You don't have to think like a human," Minho said. "You just have to think creatively. Use what you have in new ways." Thriss approached as well. "The Ursinian Council has invited human instructors to our homeworld. We wish to learn your survival techniques. In exchange, we will teach you our telepathic meditation methods. Perhaps together, we can create new strategies." Minho felt a warmth in his chest. Not from pride, but from hope. Maybe this was the beginning of real cooperation between species. Maybe humans had finally proven they belonged. Later that night, Minho stood alone in the memorial hall. A display case had been prepared.